Mumba FM
newenya hurekeresha kumwinda kwa kamani nende kimimilo kiewe fwe
noba noparanga bapanda kusibana kuno bana po mwami balakulorasa esaino buli mundu alingenga kaya
bukote bwa bulindalo khukhwama mukholo chefwe
nakhubola nandi kimima kyomukhase kili mungubota ne khali mayi ulachakho kamaseyaya mumoni mwaniyala wabona chizala chalitaka khucha kumwikha.
West TV, tazama ilivyo.
Good morning, dear viewers. This is the Morning Scoop. I'm so excited to join you today. Be here so that you can join me for the show today. We are going to talk about empowerment. You see, empowerment comes in very many forms and very many ways. Usually, we look at someone giving you money, will have empowered you. That is the lowest form of empowerment. The highest form of empowerment is knowledge. Someone gives you knowledge, will have empowered you enough. You will have the sufficient amount of knowledge to do all that you need just because you are empowered. You can use knowledge in any way you want because you have the empowerment. Today we're going to go large on that. We're going to look at how are we empowered? How are we empowering our youths? And sometimes in Western Kenya it's not just youths, it's even ourselves. You see, we need this information so that we are empowered. As a region, we need to change the narrative. We need to change the narrative from being employed to start being employers. And there are huge opportunities for us to just interact with that, for us to become that, for us to transform from being employees to employers. What are we going to do to change our story? With me in studio today, I have a very interesting guest. He's a man who has supported a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs to come up and change their story, transform themselves from being employees to employers. He has helped people transform from just being kawaida guys to being people of substance. I want you to listen to him nicely. I'll give him time. He'll talk to you. He will explain these things. And the biggest employer in this world, or the biggest person to give you business, is actually the government. The county government, the national government. Those are the biggest buyers of the services that we have. And for the youths, we have 30% of the wealth. Can you imagine? That's a lot. That's huge. So what do we do to help you interact with those opportunities that are there? So I don't want to do the show for him. Chief, good morning.
Thank you, brother.
Your names are interesting.
Enos Mori Okello.
Very short names. You don't want African names.
Yeah, probably.
They're all African.
They're all Africans anyway.
You're looking nice.
Oh, thank you.
Karibu sana.
Thank you. I appreciate a lot having me here.
Yes.
Yeah, I've never been to West TV.
Yes.
And I think it's a privilege that you shared to me so that we can really empower the youth.
Yes.
And really talk ideas which can really help them.
Yes.
Succeed in their businesses.
Yes.
I appreciate a lot.
Mr. Mori Okello is a consultant, is a money expert, is a tax consultant. He helps people think in terms of investments and he will help you start. That's how good he is. Today he's here to talk to us. Chief, let's go to the show. The show will begin with a proverb. The proverb, where there is a will,
there's a way.
There's a way. Others say where there is a way, there is a will. But actually where there is a will,
there's there's a way.
There's a way. You need to start
Somewhere.
for you to open the way. How do you understand that proverb?
Okay, briefly, I think it means that whatever you've been thinking about, or rather where you feel your efforts lie, the best step is to make the first initiative to try and reach your goal. When you blend discipline, hard work, and diligence, then you also put God on board. God will show you that way. So where there's a will, there's a way. That which you think you can do, when you settle down to do it,
It
you
can
can
always happen.
actually materialize it.
You will find means to doing it.
do it.
Whoa, that's nice. You see, the Western Kenya region is largely composed of employees, very few employers. That's why we migrate to Nairobi. The bulk of our populations, professionals, are not here. They're in Nairobi. And some of them are doing jobs that don't pay them well. We are in that situation because our community is not a producer but a consumer. So being a consumer population, against that background, I want you to start helping us thinking of how we can be able to serve our own community. We have huge opportunities, we have huge services we can be able to provide to the consumer community that we have. But first, we need to have the capacity. What are we talking about when we talk about capacity to serve our people?
Thank you again. Okay, I would say that, okay, I've been in Western, I learned in Masinde Muliro.
Okay.
And I see most of the guys were with at the university in Nairobi. And generally, Western Kenya is taken as an agricultural hub with the mining of pockets here and there. But now I also want to be cognizant of the fact that the youth population is terribly growing. These are guys who are dynamic in whatever they do. They form larger part of our population.
Yes.
They have a lot of skills. When you cage them, they'll not tell you that you cage them, but when you give them opportunity so that they can explore what they think they can do, I think that way Western and Kenya generally will really go far. Now, I want to start by saying this. In the olden days, people used to think that after university, the philosopher's stone was to get employment, probably in the big companies like, I don't want to mention names, but gradually that has been left aside.
It was a template. The colonialists wanted manpower to work in their organizations. The government wanted clerks to support their systems. So they had to take you to school and with a promise that will be employed. In fact, most of those workers started employment even before they finished classes.
Yeah.
Because they were tailored. They were created to fit into that template. Not anymore.
It's true. That is why the problem you have nowadays is that there are people still apply brick and mortar ways of doing things, and then they expect to maybe increase on their results. Now, I want to tell you this. From where I stand, or rather from where I sit, I believe everybody has a special skill that he can do, that he can really expound on to help him really be productive in the society. And where I sit, I believe that every venture starts with some organization.
Yes.
If you want to organize, or rather really put whatever you want to do in in some specially organized way, you have to register an entity.
Okay.
Yeah. Largely the scope of my discussion will be about businesses and how you can run businesses.
Yes.
To the benefit of you individually,
Yes.
and even the community.
Yes. Yes.
Largely, I will speak about two types of businesses and how somebody can form these and hit the road running in the society in terms of doing business here and there. Now,
That is the capacity we're looking at. Two types of businesses. we have a limited company,
A limited liability company.
and then we have business name. Okay, but then there is another group. I don't know where we when we are, for example, an NGO or a SACCO
welfare.
or a welfare.
Or a
I want you to throw in that so that this welfare must it be a limited company for it to trade, or it can just run as a welfare organization and run. We are very excited with registering business names because it's nothing. And tell us about that.
Now, I want to start by saying that briefly I'll discuss on the main all types of businesses where we have the business names.
Yes.
We have the limited liability companies.
Yes.
We have the limited liability partnerships. We have the foundations. We have public liability companies. We even have trusts.
Trust.
We even have NGOs.
Yes.
Yeah. But now let me start briefly. I want to start differentiating between a business name and
Yes.
a limited liability company. That is where most of us belong, because that is now, it brings that aspect of doing business. Now, a limited liability company is this company where two up to 50 people come together that they want to form a company limited by shares. The key issues that I always advise our youth when they want to form a limited liability company is one. We started from the business name. What kind of name? The name search, the name reservation. What kind of name do you want?
Yes.
Because, my brother, you cannot form a company called XYZ Real Estate Limited and then you want to run an hotel with it. So from the choice of name, that is when you get the things right. Choose a relevant name.
Yes.
That is okay. Two, how many of you do you want to
Or to run as to own the shares.
Yeah. The shares out of 100%. How are you going to distribute the shares?
Yes.
The key issues when you want to form company as a group, one, the synergy. People will bring energy from all corners. That is one reason. Two, you want to maybe, there are people called angel investors. These are guys who invest in a venture where it is still very young.
Yes.
Then they pump money into it, hoping to own it or to have part ownership later.
Yes.
And then also, contemporarily, we have issues like AGPO, where I advise people, maybe somebody with his spouse, register a company, give your wife more shares so that you can get AGPO. I'll talk a bit about AGPO. AGPO is called Access to Government Procurement Opportunities, founded on the 2010 Constitution, I think Article 227, where President Kibaki saw it wise that people living with disability, any nature of disability, sensory, visual impairment, physical disability, even the skin, actually even stammerers. Me, I'm a stammerer. I think I should acquire that.
Oh, I'm a stammerer too.
But the first stage is to go to any public hospital. They assess you. Then you go to the regional, national commission of people living with disability. It's called something like that. And then they forward your report to Afia House. Then the minister must sign
that this guy is
actually impaired, whether visually, sensory, or so when you give them this amount of shares, it must be at least 70% of the shares.
Yes.
That does not mean that they are going to control the bank account of the company. No. Take even 10% of the shares. Give the youth 80%, the women 80%, the people with the disability 70%. The yardstick, the benchmark is 70%. So then you acquire that certificate of AGPO for the company. AGPO you cannot acquire on your own as an individual. You can acquire it either as a business name or as a limited liability company. If you go even to Bungoma here now, the tenders that they flout, you'll realize they have a reservation of 30% for people living with disability, for youth, and for women. It is a very lucrative idea, but it is not being sold out here to the youth. People don't know. People just think that I have more shares in the company. It doesn't matter. It's not important at all.
So what you're saying, and I want you to take this so well, what this guy is saying is this, that me, I'm an old man, okay? I have the ability, okay? I have 1 million shillings I want to invest. I want to start an organization. So I can be able to concoction 10 young men, okay? Or just my wife. Then she takes 70% of the shares. These 10 young men in my organization will control 70% of the shares. I control 30%. That will give us an AGBO, access to government.
Procurement opportunities.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, it's a very lucrative venture.
So that's in the beginning, at the start of this organization.
Yeah, at the start of it. Or you can come up with an old company, then you redistribute the shares.
Yes.
You give the woman factor, the youth factor, or the person living with the disability 70% of the shares. That way you will qualify for AGPO. AGPO is domiciled at the Ministry of Treasury. They have the offices there.
Yeah.
I think they work with the same system as IFMIS. So you apply, there it is, revalue there, they'll check your applications and then they approve it. Once they approve it, the good thing with it, you can go for open tenders where the big guys go to do the job. And then you can also go for the reserved one, which are left for youth, women, and people with disability.
So so that the viewer gets it well, Western Kenya is controlling well above 50 billion every year in terms of government distribution when it comes to these counties. Okay? Now, these billions, the bulk of it go to development. Those development means various tenders to do various services. So local people, to access the bulk of that money, they need to be AGBO certified. And for us to be AGBO certified, we need the youths and women, people living with disabilities, to control 70% of this organization.
Yes.
Okay.
70, because if you talk of 50 billion, that translates to around 15 billion meant for 30% of that.
Yes.
Meant for the youth, women, and people with disability.
Yes.
I tell you, if you have a company which has AGPO, you do everything right, tax compliance, company profile, AGPO, blah blah. Then you approach any county government. That provision is there. You will get that job as long as your documents are in place.
Whoa, okay.
So I was talking about limited liability company. Now,
yes.
The advantage is, okay, business name on the other side has only one upside, that it is cheap. But it has all the downsides of it. A limited liability company you have your liability limited. What do I mean? I'm in a company with you called XYZ Limited. When the financials are not working up,
yes,
maybe we fail to honor part of our bargain and all that, the extent to which it will affect us is up to the shares we have in the company. Okay. Nobody can come to your house and confiscate your assets. Even banks,
because this organization is an entity, just as you are.
It's a separate legal entity. It can own a land or any property. It can stand in a court of law. It will survive even past you dying, because it is a separate legal entity. All those ones you cannot find in a business name. Now, a
business name is limited to you.
A business name, your liability is not limited. A business name is just like you write to register of companies that, please, I don't want to trade with the name of Enos Mori. Allow me to trade with the name of Enolex. So it is you trading in your. That is why when you tender, use your PIN, which starts with A0.
Yes.
Either A00 or A01. So, meaning your liability is not limited. If you do a tender using a business name, it will force you to invoice the client using your PIN.
Yes.
Nowadays, no client will pay you unless you activate your PIN for eTIMS. eTIMS is the government or structured way of invoicing. You know, earlier on, people could even take invoices and aweka kwa computer. These are my expenses that I incurred. That is not allowed nowadays. You must get that eTIMS invoice.
Yes.
Imagine disturbing your personal PIN for all that. At times you'll be required to activate VAT. At times you'll be activated, you are required, because VAT, once you activate it, you file returns every month. If you fail, you get a penalty of 10,000 every month. all this.
I think I suffered that in 2019. What 20? Okay, forget about it.
Yeah, it happened. So
because they penalized me.
Yeah, it is 10. It's flat rate. Ikifika saa sita na dakika moja siku on the 20th of every month 10,000 kwa account yako. Whether we don't know or you know, they don't care.
It suffered that.
Yeah. So you also realize people got this disadvantage when they research for PIN at the cyber. The cyber guy just collect VAT, rental income tax. And you maybe you don't know, you are only working, you only filing the income tax here yearly, but there are penalties accruing. That is why the government has come up with amnesty, so that the penalties which come out of failure to file returns are waived. So you want to activate your PIN for VAT, because so many clients will not pay you, because they tell you, no, me I pay VAT, bring me invoice which has VAT. If you imagine you want to now start activating your PIN, and if you rub shoulders the wrong way with the KRA, they may even suspend your PIN. If your PIN is suspended, very soon you cannot even leave the airport.
Because
your PIN is as good as your ID number.
Yes.
So you go anywhere. You cannot even open bank account. You cannot even buy land. You cannot even transfer a car.
And if it's suspended, who undo you?
You just have to go to KRA and clear your issues. You cannot get another PIN. Just go to KRA and explain to them why you messed up here. That is why I'm saying, why can't we carry all this baggage
and put them in a limited company.
Which comes with its own PIN, its own tax compliance. You activate e-teams, activate VAT, do business very smoothly. Limited liability company has credit worthiness. When you go to look even for funds with a limited liability company, somebody will be very easy to give a loan, because he knows this company will live
longer
years and years, even after these guys get bankrupt, incapacitated, or even dead. So many companies in Nairobi are very old companies. Remember the tycoons like Jenga Karume and all that. Their companies are still there, running very smoothly, because they were limited liability companies. You just appoint a trustee when you know you are exiting, or rather when you now get old. They run this company, distribute these things like this. The company will run very smoothly
without any problems. They will comply with all the requirements of the government.
Yes.
They'll do business with the government, and they will be there for the next 200 years.
Yes. If the business does anything wrong, it will stand in the court of law. Its lawyer will be there. The judge will call who stands for XYZ Holdings, not who stands for you, because it's a company. Just like you can hire a lawyer to go and represent you.
Yes.
So I always implore on the youth to really uptake this and know the difference between business name and limited liability companies. The other issue I want to address, people ask me, now if I register a limited liability company, see, it will expose me a lot to tax. Me, I'm a tax consultant, I have masters in tax. I want to tell you, there's no way to avoid tax as doing it through a limited liability company. Avoid is allowed. Evade is not allowed. We don't talk about evasion.
You see, evade and avoiding, those are two different words.
Yeah.
They have different meanings.
Yeah, a lot.
So avoiding, let's talk about avoiding. We'll talk about evading later on. How do you avoid?
Avoiding tax is legal. It is using the tax mechanisms to maybe poke holes in the tax law or the tax act. What do I mean? You employ accountants to know that this expense can be allowed by the KRA, this expense cannot be allowed. So they work through that mix.
So okay. So acquiring this phone needs to acquire this phone needs it's zero rated. For example, so I'll use this phone, I'll acquire it, but I'll not pay tax on it.
Yes.
But then, if this phone is taxable and I fail to pay taxes on it, then that is evading.
That is tax evasion. Literally, or rather, intentionally denying KRA their money by either understating your income or inflating your expenses or just failing to declare part of your income.
Another problem with business names was that people used to file zero returns. They're making turnover of 5-10 million shillings a month, but then they will file zero returns because they had a way of maneuvering. That's evasion or avoidance.
That is tax evasion.
So they are criminals.
Criminals, and that is what has been now eliminated by eTIMS. eTIMS is real time. You buy something from me, I invoke your PIN, it is posted on your iTax automatically.
Because it's there.
It's there, and the taxman is now waiting for you at the end of the year. I want to see how this guy will file because I've already seen some transaction in his account. So it is really, yeah.
And then you see we were given electronic money payment systems like M-Pesa. You see, you're using that system to do your transactions. Then at the end of the day, you come and say, I didn't do any business.
No, that was a general loophole. I think now it is when KRA is really adjusting. They check on people's M-Pesas.
Yes.
And then they tell you to come with the bank statement and the M-Pesa statement. And then they compare it with what the returns you filed in their iTax. You cannot be filing nil-nil. And then they start running it from 2019. You know, by law, KRA is allowed to interrogate you for records for 5 years.
Yes.
If you are a tax-paying entity, you must keep records for 5 years.
5 years.
And it is your duty.
5 years. That is very important to know.
Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah, 5 years.
Like this is 2024. You have 2025. You need
from 2019.
You must have
that record. If you don't have it, then the way KRA will judge you, it's the way it will go, because you cannot defend yourself. So you realize that was a real loophole which is being now blocked by eTIMS. Or people filing nil return, yet they get money in their M-Pesas, yes.
Now, this limited company we are dealing with, it's owned by 10 people, 3 people, 2 people, okay? Yeah. It's doing business with the government. How do we get tax compliance? How do we get, what is the other thing?
Exemptions,
eTIMS, all those things. Just to take us through in the acquisition
now, before we get there, I want to tell you that 80% of the companies which are owned by group, which have registered, fail to take off. I always say that people just meet in a casual place and then they decide we want to start a company. Kesho wakikosana mwingine akuji kwa kampuni. The company dies off like that. So I thought of it was that advise the youth that before you form a company as a group, ensure that you have a common interest and you have a common goal, and you will be supporting one another. So when you register a company, so many of you, the company will get its PIN. A new company will get tax compliance automatically because it's a new company. But going forward, the returns have to be done, or failure to which this company will now not get the tax compliance. So generally, it doesn't really look into the compliance of the individual owners of the company, but because it's a separate legal entity. That is why even when it comes to tax, it is quite friendly to have a limited liability company, because when you're filing your return, you put the income. Then the limited liability company will allow you to put expenses the way you want. And then the net gain you get there is what you pay 30% out of it.
I want you to talk about 2 things. One, the expenses that this organization is undergoing, the expenses that are financing its operations. Primary ones should be branding.
Very important.
Branding is one of them. So branding is an expense. And the other element is, the other expense are wages or salaries or running costs generally. Now, if your income is, let's say, 20,000 shillings, and you are a 4 who own this organization, and you've only gotten 20,000 shillings, how are you going to distribute this income? there is the normal running cost, then which now includes payment of salaries and everything. Then there is the tax. So you distribute everything, and what remains, 30% is what you pay to the government.
But then also, it is not that every time you must get a profit, no. If you get 20,000 as your income, then you have expenses. You just run your expenses as well. The income down, the net income will be negative. That is what we call a loss.
In most cases, it's actually going to be a loss.
A loss.
Yes.
You just declare loss. You just declare that I got this loss, so that next year when you get a profit, you knock it off. Because when you're filing return, there's a place for loss brought forward. You put it there in negative, then profit for this year, then it knocks. But then you only pay.
Tell me. You are saying if this year we got a loss,
Yes.
okay, where did this money came from to clear the required? Because we needed to pay the bills, to pay the power bills and transport bills, all the running expenses. But then we got less money than our requirement. Where did we get this money so that next year we are able to to be alive?
There's a principle in accounting called going concern. When you get a loss this year, does not mean that now you collapse. You've been operating all along. You have savings here and there. Go bring it from that saving, finance this. You'll take care of this loss next year. Or even borrow. You can even go and borrow and pay your staff. But on condition that you will declare this loss next year, it will be to your advantage.
Because that is where most limited organizations or most joint ventures disappear. We will have, there is a story I have. Three senior guys came together to set up a hospital. And one of them invested like 80% of the required amount. The two of them shared the 20%. And at the end of the day, this one with higher stake thought that he spent too much money in the organization and is not getting any returns. But then these other ones with less investments, whatever they were getting, they were so excited because it was big enough. Now, you see that kind of, in the end, they say, I would rather we close this because it's not helping. I put in 80 million and I'm not getting anything. I don't want this. I'd rather get my 80 million back or out of it so that we end there. And that's how that also ended.
Yeah, so also that depends on the key roles which are being undertaken by each one of them.
Yes.
Maybe it's just a quasi partner. He just injected money there, then they left. These guys could be happy because each and every day they get some small monies from the entity. So that is why when you want to invest in any business, be holistic, even in terms of marketing.
Yes.
Try and master your competitors and see the gap. Analyze the market, the trend in the market, and see where the market is going. You know, they are saying that nowadays people think the noisy ventures are the ventures with money, like bar. People think silent places do not really have lucrative income. So people invest in big, what people can see around, blah, blah, blah. So then they fail to understand that these things also come with cutthroat competition. You must analyze the market well, see the customers' needs, and master the gap, what you want to come in and hit.
Yes.
Also, check the competition landscape. See what the competitors are not offering.
Okay.
Invest much in the market research before you
start
inject
putting
that
in money.
there.
You talked about angel investors.
Yes.
Who are these and where are they?
Angel investor is an investor who is so positive about a startup that he invests his money at that point of starting, knowing that at least this thing, if it grows, I'll have part of the share of this company.
Oh, there is a catch.
Yeah, there's a catch. They don't just invest in any business. We also have, they also work like incubators. the finance incubator, these are guys who give even a space to still work and don't pay anything as you work on your idea. So that they believe when the idea picks up, they'll have a benefit of all these ideas. Angel investors are more.
Strathmore had a very good incubator arrangement. Still there.
It's still there. It's still there.
They had a very good setup there.
Yeah, where they support the young. And,
yes.
Yeah.
We don't have that around here in West.
It needs a lot of good-willing people to really identify a potential idea in you, so that they can invest in you. Angel investors really change lives of people out here, especially in the foreign world. That is why you realize somebody is even a class 8 dropout, but he came up with an idea, and now he's one of the richest guys in the world because somebody supported him. That is what the Strathmore was doing, and they are still doing it. So if that can be emulated by other entities around, then the society can grow, the community can grow.
The idea is knowing how to communicate your idea.
Yes.
Because that is also a setback.
Yes, the brand which you talked about. When somebody sees you, what are they seeing? You cannot come up with an idea which is just your brainchild. No. You cling on somebody's idea, then you fine tune it. Did you know that now we use oxygen, we don't charge it. The oxygen is given by God.
Yes.
Go to the hospital there. Oxygen, somebody thought about it, oxygen is very expensive also as well.
Inside hospitals?
Business is everywhere.
I never thought about that before.
Business everywhere. Oxygen here is free. Go there and then you put on oxygen, you see how much you'll pay.
Huge.
People just think the small things you think about, then you build on it day in day. You brainstorm, you sleep over it, then it becomes a big business idea. So before you rush, even look, there's something called also crowdfunding.
Yes.
Where you have an idea, you can call people. Can you help me with 2,000 bob, 5,000 bob, 10,000 bob, so that you finance this idea? I just tell you that I want.
So this crowdfunding, you are able to raise money. It's a fundraising mechanism.
Yeah, but from so many people.
Yes.
But you sell them the idea, you tell them the reality, what you want to do.
What is their, how do they gain from this?
No, hoping that once you pick up, they'll say one time, we are the ones who helped him. And then now you can even give them shares in the company. They will just call them, you call so many people, then you interact with them, and then they finance your venture. It's also a good way of where the youth can really come up. You get an idea, you just approach your MCA, your MP. There are a lot of youth funds, like youth enterprise, the development funds by the government. You can approach the microfinances with an idea.
Yes.
You do a proposal.
So the idea is this organization to run profitably, you must first start. It is in the starting.
Yes.
Once the starting has been accomplished, once you achieve the starting, then the growth, now it will depend on you.
On you. On the brand that you want to put out there.
Because crowdfunding comes in to support an initiative that a limited company is already running.
Yes.
You don't crowdfund to do a startup.
No. You crowdfund when you already have a focus.
You attract an angel investor when you have something you're working on.
Yes. You even have the name of the company, where you want to locate it, how it will operate.
Or maybe you can attract an angel investor when you're already underway.
Yes.
When you're already running that matatu you talked about.
Yes, maybe you are running matatu and then you realize another line of business which is very lucrative.
Yes.
Attract an angel investor in that line. You tell them that I've been running this, it is doing well, but this one I think will really do nice. So can you help, can you invest here? I'll give you shares on this.
Time is up. We need to end here. Before we do that, I have two questions. Capital. How do we raise capital? Yeah. Because we are talking about the youths. And we talked about them going to Nairobi to look for employment. but we want them to come back to Western and set up these agencies. They are going to ask you one simple question: capital iko wapi? How do they get capital? Initial capital. Yes.
Yeah, it's the initial capital outlay. At times you'll realize it is very intensive, but at times it depends on business ideas which require a lot of ideas or other skills. Do not really depend on capital. I want to answer you. So many people believe that only banks can give them loans. I really want to dissuade the youth from that, because the interests there are very hefty. Government has other avenues, like I just mentioned, the Youth Enterprise Development Fund.
Yes.
Microfinances are here. The SACCOs are here.
Yes.
The crowdfunding, which I talked about.
Yes.
And even the youth can even coalesce amongst themselves and form a welfare or a force. Then you tell the group that I want to do this. Can you give me this money so that I can? But the best idea which I give to the youth, go for the low-hanging fruits. Register even a business name. Get an AGPO job. Get that capital to do whatever you wanted to do.
Because for you to get the money to do that which you desire, there must be someone to listen to you.
Yes.
So in your circle, look among yourselves and decide, are we going crowdfunding? Are we going youth enterprise? Are we doing circle or whatever? Are we doing a welfare? You see, mostly self-help groups start with something called merry-go-round.
Yes.
So we decide that today we are giving 500 shillings to each person, and we are 10. So at the end of the day, it's 5,000 shillings.
True.
So this 5,000 shillings is enough to start something for this guy. Tomorrow it will be for this guy. At the end of the day, we will have, when we are done, each of us will have gained 5,000 shillings.
Yeah.
And that's how we start.
Yeah. And you see now, most of the youth came from the university. Some were given help. They have not even gotten jobs to the effect that they cannot repay the loans. They are there at the CRBs. They are listed there. Getting loan from the bank is
impossible.
Not there. Is impossible. So you have to find a way that you can understand yourselves and work amongst you. Whereby when you are a group of you, maybe somebody is good in real estate, somebody is good in engineering, somebody is a plumber, somebody is good in interior design, which is nowadays doing so well because so many people are building.
Yes.
The interior design sector is very lucrative nowadays. So not that even if the economy is down, not that all the sectors will be down. Today the interior design can be down, but you find that engineer has jobs.
Yes.
So you finance him within you, amongst you.
So in other words, the group that is coming here to form this organization should not be one skill line.
No, it
has to be, you have to share the strengths.
Yes.
This one is strong in this one is strong in this, this one is strong in this. So when we put together, it will answer the question.
Yeah, because we live in a fluctuating economy. Today here is down, tomorrow is up here. So you have to have myriad of skills so that you can tap into it at any given time.
Okay. The last question. How can someone talk to you?
Okay, I'm called Enos Mori. I run a consulting company called Enolex Business Consultants. We are based in Westlands in Nairobi. My number.
Just give them your number because they're asking me.
My number. My number is 0724 054 486. If you go to TikTok, look for Enolex Business Consultants, ENOLIX. I repeat, my number is 0724 054 486.
We've not talked about how to attract foreign dollars in this region. That is another invitation I'm going to give you.
Yes, the foreign investment advisory.
Yes, you do that. Because we're looking at how can we attract dollars in this region.
Yes.
But then we cannot attract dollars when our own enterprises are not running.
Yes.
So we need to first establish our own businesses.
And we must be friendly to the dollar first. We must be friendly to the dollar so that you can even do even some exports. Then we get the dollar.
How
back.
do you become friendly to the dollar?
You do what the dollar wants you to do. you supply, you do what is good for the dollar owners. There is a mining site in Western here. You can do mining, not brick and mortar, but you mechanize it a bit. Then you export gold. There are a lot of fresh produce here. You can export. The dollar will come.
How do you make money online? That is the question someone is asking me.
Online.
There is online investments.
Yes.
1 minute, to take 1 minute and tell them, how do you make money online?
Yeah, you make money online. You can even have online stores and even interact with your clients online, as long as you offer what they want. It has a lot of challenges, the political instability, the transaction risk, the translation risk, but it is also very lucrative when you hit on an online platform, which is really resonating with the clients you want to work for.
Because someone could be talking about creating content.
Yes.
Everyone is creating content.
Yes.
How much income is coming from there? It's nothing. So how do I make money when I'm domiciled, when I have a website, when I have an online presence? It should be Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, hiyo ingine inaitwaje hizo zote.
Yeah, when you want to really venture or rather penetrate the online market, be seen in the online, have a website,
okay,
which is interactive. Then have a content. There was an issue about digital tax, which is really an issue when it comes to online things. But also have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, talk content. Nowadays, I don't think TikTok is paying anybody in Africa. They're not paying anybody. But YouTube, you can have a lucrative YouTube presence where somebody can check your link from the YouTube website, Instagram and all that. You'll get a client from outside.
Okay, this show runs live on YouTube. Please, when you are there, make us some money. Thank you for watching. We've come to the end of the show. Always go for on X is West TV _Kenya. Facebook is West TV. On YouTube is West TV Live. Please leave a message, leave a comment, talk to us, share your thoughts, and invite this guy again on our social media. You can also follow me at Mr. Kitui on X and Ohasemiti CKS on Facebook. I would really like to hear what you can talk about and how we can be able to share these things. On behalf of the director of the show, Calvin Kibet, I just want to say thank you for watching.